Hello dear student, this is Dr. Agnes Karath. I welcome you for today's session. In this session, we are learning evidences in favor of organic evolution. In part first of evidences in favor of organic evolution, we have already studied evidences from anatomy and embryology. So this is the part second of the lecture, and in this part second, we are learning evidences which favors the organic evolution from geographical distribution, paleontology, physiology, biochemistry, genetics and molecular biology. Let us start with evidences from geographical distribution. What is biogeography? The study of past and present distribution of organisms is called as biogeography. And what is continental drift? Movement of major land masses due to plate tectonics is termed as continental drift. At one time, the globe was one large continent known as Pangaea. However, continental drift took place and it splits into two supercontinents, Laurasia in the north and Gondwana in the south. Further, it results into present-day Earth formation with 7 continents. After the drift, the habitat of each organism changed and thus they evolved to adapt the new ecological factors. So these are the organisms which tells us geographical distribution of animals on planet Earth, and they surely proves the organic evolution on Earth. The marsupials of Australia, Darwin's finches in Galapagos, and the Great American Interchange through Isthmus of Panama. All these examples prove theory of organic evolution. The present distribution of marsupial mammals is an excellent example of the influence of continental breakup. Marsupials appeared in the Middle Cretaceous period about 100 million years ago, probably in South America. Because South America was at that time connected to Australia through Antarctica, which was then much warmer than it is today. The marsupials spread through all 3 continents. They also moved into North America, but there they encountered placental mammals which had dispersed to that continent from Asia. Marsupials evidently could not coexist with placentals and so became extinct in North America. Placentals followed marsupials into South America, but by that time the marsupials had expanded and were too firmly established to be driven into extinction. And in meantime, about 50 million years ago, Australia drifted apart from Antarctica, barring entrance of these placentals. So Australia remained in isolation, allowing these marsupials to diversify into present rich and varied fauna. The second most important example is Isthmus of Panama. Today, the land bridge which connects North and South America at the Isthmus of Panama, but from the mid-Eocene epoch to the end of Pliocene epoch, the 2 continents were completely separated by water. During this long period, the major group of mammals evolved in distinctive direction on each continent. When the land bridge was re-established at the end of Pliocene epoch, a tide of mammals began to flow in both the directions. This dispersal has been called Great American Interchange, one of the most important minglings of distinct continental faunas in the Earth's history. So all these examples proves geographical distribution of animals, which supports the organic evolution theory. Every fossil tells a story. Paleontology is the study of fossils. Fossils are the remains or traces of animals and plant life of the past found embedded in rock, either as petrified hard parts or as molds, cast or tracks. So what story these fossils are telling us? They are telling us that the earth is old. Life is old and life on earth has changed. What are the significance of paleontology? It is useful in reconstruction of phylogeny. It helps in studying various forms and structures of extinct animals. It provides record of missing link between two groups of organisms. So these are the important significance of paleontology. So evidences from paleontology tells us that the fossils of the earliest era in the geological timescale were those of bacteria, then invertebrates, and then successively of fishes, followed by amphibians, reptiles, and lastly by birds and mammals. And among mammals, primitive fossils of humans are the most recent ones. So layers of rock contains fossils. New layers cover the older ones. Creates a record over time. And fossil shows a series of organisms that have lived on Earth over a long period of time. So what are connecting links? Connecting links are today's organisms which are descended from ancestral species. Example is fossils of Archaeopteryx, which lived about 150 million years ago, and it is a connecting link between reptile and bird. The animal or plant which possesses the characters of two different groups of organisms are known as connecting links. The connecting links establish continuity in the series of organisms by proving that one group has evolved from the other. A good example is that of the fossil bird Archaeopteryx, which was connecting link between reptiles and birds. This bird had a beak with teeth and long tail with bones like the lizard, and it had feathers on the wings and on the body like birds. So it is connecting link between reptiles and birds. The discovered fossil of the horse ancestor shows us that the number of toes decreased for greater speed in case of horse, and size gradually increased and teeth become adapted to eat grass. So the picture shows fossil record and evolution of the horse from its ancestor. So these are the evidences from paleontology. Now we'll study evidences from genetics and molecular biology. We can get these evidences by comparing DNA and protein structure. Everyone uses the same genetic code, and that is DNA. Now here in this diagram, we can compare common genes among these organisms. The number is written here, and we can also compare common proteins. Number of amino acids which differ from human hemoglobin are recorded here. So human and macaque, it has 8 amino acids which are different from human hemoglobin. Likewise, these are the numbers given in the diagram. Evidences from genetics and molecular biology tells us that all organisms have cell as the basic unit of life. The cell is made up of biomolecules common to all organisms. Ribosome, the cellular organelles, are of universal occurrence in all organisms. DNA is the hereditary material of all organisms except for some viruses. ATP is the molecule which stores and releases energy for biological processes. The same 22 amino acids form the constituent of proteins of almost all organisms. The genetic code is universal. Exceptions are very few for this. The central dogma, which deals with the transfer of genetic information in cell, is the same. The basic steps of transcription and translation for protein synthesis are similar in all organisms, and the sequence of nucleotide, such as that for promoter gene, which is called as TATA box, is common to all organisms. Evidences from biochemistry. Almost all living organisms use the same biochemical molecules, DNA, ATP, enzymes, and same DNA triplet code, which constitute of 20 amino acids for proteins. There is only a slight difference. Humans share large number of genes with simple organisms. The more similar DNA sequence, more similar the organisms are. So biochemical evidence shows that common ancestry can be seen in the complex metabolic molecule that many different organisms share, and comparison of the DNA or RNA of different species produce biochemical evidence for the evolution. Evidences from physiology. Metabolism. Different metabolic reactions like respiration, digestion, assimilation, muscle contraction, nerve conduction in animals, and photosynthesis in plants shows a physiological harmony in various living beings. Excretion. Nitrogenous waste shows a progressive detoxification in vertebrate. It is ammonia in fishes, urea in amphibians, uric acid in reptiles and birds, and a combination of urea and uric acid and other chemicals in case of mammals. Thank you, student.